Hey, welcome back. Just a quick video this morning just to kick off our week. So I wanted to share with you just a couple of thoughts today about, don't waste your talents. Don't bury the talent. And what I'm talking about is Matthew 25, verse 14, and it's the parable of the talents. So if you remember or you want to go and reference it, Matthew 25, verse 14 to 28, the idea is that the master of the house is going away and he invests 5 talents to one servant, 3 talents to another, and 1 talent to a third. So without going into a long reading of it, just give you the idea that, the expectation of the master leaving the home is he's giving his wealth over to his stewards or servants, and he's expecting a return on the investment. It's a very basic concept that if I'm going to entrust something to you, I'd like to, somehow my life or my estate is going to be improved because of it. And that is a very good parable when it comes to what does Jesus expect of us while we are here in this life. And so the idea of the parable, the last one is what I want to drive home on. The 1 talent guy who actually had fear of his master, at least he said, I could give it back to you without it losing any ground or any value. But when the master saw that he buried the talent, he says, you could have at least deposited it and gained a little bit of interest. But the reason why you're not faithful with that is because you decided to do something that was against my expectation or my orders on what to do with it, right? So here's my point. Today you walk into an environment and you have a bad attitude, or you're just not up to it. You're wrestling with what you're doing and where you're at, and you just kind of want to just get it over with. And sometimes the Lord will drop a situation or a scenario upon you that, I have given you something here and I expect it to return on investment. So even if you think that you're not in the right place, i.e., let's, just imagine the 1 talent guy. So many people think they don't have as much to invest in, but just think of the 1 talent guy who decides to bury it. I felt in that moment that when you're called upon, when you feel the draw upon you to be ministering to people, to be speaking the truth in love, to be, providing help where help is needed, sometimes God is going to urge you and say, in your conscience, or at least he did in my conscience, don't bury the talent. Because you may think it's not worth much, but I think it's worth much, basically, is the word. And so you make yourself available with whatever you have, energy-wise, mindset-wise, attitude-wise, because when you're there in front of people, sometimes you are the representative of God. You are the one that God chose to be there. So will you respond as the Holy Spirit unctions you to do so? Don't bury the talent. So in Luke 12:48, it simply says, I have it pulled up here, from everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. So from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. So many of us are talking big, but we're not walking big. We want the delights and the glory of doing big things, or we think we do big things. But honestly, when the demand is there, if you want to be a 5 talent man, you've got to be prepared to carry the weight of expectation of performance or of fruitfulness, in other vernaculars. The idea is that can you take what you're given and multiply it? 5, 3, or 1. Can you multiply? So when God is calling upon you, no matter how you feel, you're like the guy with the 1 talent. Can you produce fruit? I pray that you have a great day. Take care.